on built-in biases and emotions, and really understanding our irrational biases and how they impact emotional-based decisions can really help us avoid making poor choices.
And Mark, when we think about biases, I think a lot of times we think about just kind of like maybe on a social perspective and not so much as financial. How are biases affecting our finances?
Well, there are many different biases that can come into play in decision making, but some of those that we really pay attention to in behavioral finance are things like loss aversion. We tend to fear losses more than we enjoy the opportunity for gains, and that can lead us to make decisions like selling into a downturn when the stock market starts to pull back, and we panic sell when we really should be buying into that opportunity and taking advantage of those stocks that are on sale. Another one I really like to talk about is overconfidence bias, or the tendency to overestimate one's ability. Now, I'll use this example for you. 80% of drivers think that they are better than average drivers, even though it's statistically impossible. That also spills over to investors being overconfident in their decision making as well.
And I find it really interesting. You brought up that example of when the stock market plummets, how a lot of people just rush out there. Can you just kind of dive a little bit deeper? So how should people react in that moment rather than just rushing out and just trying to get rid of, sell that stock?
Look, there are some investments that are just inherently risky. But oftentimes when we have a systemic market downturn, things that occur when we have political unrest somewhere in the world or a natural disaster, and it takes the entire global economic system down, those companies that we might buy goods and services from that aren't going out of business tomorrow, their value might go down. And effectively, their stock value is on sale. And I always tell folks to think of it in this way. If something that you routinely buy that you value went on sale at the store,